No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Now! What do we want?
Hello, my name is Carolina Galeano from MCTV, and we're here to have a conversation on what does it mean to be colorblind? What does it mean to be color brave? Our nation has undergone a series of events that has forced us to face and listen to a number of voices on the issue of race. And so here we have with us today three voices from our Montgomery College community who will share and have a conversation about what they think about this and a little bit more to empower us with information, with knowledge, and maybe a little bit of inspiration too. I would love for everybody in this conversation to introduce themselves and also just tell us what is your role here at Montgomery College as well. And I will probably step out and let you all talk and come right in whenever I feel like I need to continue the conversation. Please go ahead. Vilma, if you could start, and then Vincent, and then Kim.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Carolina, MCTV. Thank you for having me. My name is Vilma Bond. Vilma Simon Bond Simon is my middle name. And actually my role at Montgomery College is that I just recently graduated in the spring 2020 graduation. But I do feel that I can make myself available. That would be my role, to make myself available to participate in any activity that the college may have at this time, as long as the opportunity presents itself. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations, Vilma, on your graduation, recent graduation. And
thank you,
thank you for having me here at MC. My name is Vincent Atandi. I'm a history professor at Montgomery College and teaching mostly African American history, but also US history. And I'm the director of our Institute for Race, Justice, and Civic Engagement.
Hello, and thank you again for having me here today. My name is Kimberly Puglia. I recently graduated from MC with my degree in media broadcast with a concentration in television, and I'm also a production aide for MCTV. So I'm really excited to be here today and to talk with everyone.
Many people believe that if you treated everybody equally, you've done your part. You've done enough. You try not to focus on those differences, and you feel like, you know what, I'm good. I'm not a racist, right? I treat everybody nice and the same. Is that enough?
I'd like to address that simply because of what I was saying earlier about the coming from a cosmopolitan society. The cosmopolitan society that framed my thinking allowed all the different cultures in Trinidad and Tobago to be able to coexist successfully, practicing tolerance, acceptance, respect, common decency. These things resulted in all of the cultures being tightly knitted together in a beautiful tapestry called the melting pot. And what did that melting pot look like? It looked like someone like me. We have the Indians in Trinidad, we have the Chinese, we have the people that look like me, of African descent. And basically what we did was, as a culture, we would eat each other's foods. We would wear each other's national clothing. I'm talking about somebody that have an African descent living in Trinidad and wearing Indian clothing, which is a sari. I grew up in that culture. My mom, I grew up looking at my mom wearing saris. And up to this day, it blows my mind. I'm thinking, oh my God, she's not Indian. She's never been to India. But the fact that we were raised in a culture called a cosmopolitan society, a melting pot, we learned and grew to wear each other's national clothing, cultural national clothing, celebrate and honor each other's national religious holidays. Now that's pretty serious. Because even here in America, I mean, if you're Hindu, is no way a Hindu person would say, I'm going to a Christian church for Christmas. It just doesn't happen. But Trinidad is very unique, actually. So to answer the question that Carolina was really talking about, Carolina, it is very, very easy for me when I migrated to the US in 1989. I made myself a cosmopolitan ambassador in order to be able to navigate my way through the many different cultures and the race issues and all of the race issues, all of it in the United States. I had to make myself a cosmopolitan ambassador. So Caroline, it is not, for me, it wasn't difficult for me to, if I see a person that had white skin, I wasn't going to go like, oh, I need to treat this person in a real special way. I didn't have to do that. And if I saw a Chinese person or I saw an Indian person, all I did basically was I purposed that I would intentionally exhibit love from the inside of me towards every person that I came into contact with. And so that's how I handled it, Carolina. It wasn't that I was treating everybody equally. What it was is that we're all humans. All of humanity needs one basic thing that can cause us to be victorious and successful on this colony, and it's love. But instead of the love, we have a pandemic of hate that has spread its venom throughout all of humanity, all of the world. And so the entire world is now infected with this venom of hate. But the answer to the solution or the healing, the solution, the balm for that hate is really love. And so that's all I did. When I came to America in 1989, all I did basically was begin to distribute that love that I have in the inside of me intentionally to every person. I didn't care where you came from. I didn't care whether you came from Timbuktu, whether your skin was yellow, green, or blue. It didn't matter. And so that's how I dealt with that, Caroline. You know, it wasn't that I wanted to treat everybody equally. It was that I just felt every human being deserved to be loved and respected and be given decent respect with decency.
Kim, what do you think? I mean, if you have white classmates or whites that you know are saying, well, I'm nice to everybody and I'm not, you know, I practice this where I preach, I'm nice to everybody that I see of color. Would you say, well, that's enough?
I would not say it's enough to say that you're colorblind. I mean, if anything, I want you to see my color. I want you to see that I am
exactly.
You know, Black or biracial, whatever the case may be. I want you to see I want you to see me and understand what that means for me and a lot of other people in this country. And when you say you're colorblind, I'm looking at my notes because I wanted to make sure that I stayed on topic. I'm sorry. When you say you're colorblind, you're kind of blind to everything else that's going on, and it normalizes inaction. Right. By taking action, you know, signing petitions, educating yourself. I mean, really learning Black history, because Black history is U.S. history. You know, going to protests if that is what you're, you know, comfortable with, because, you know, not everyone is prepared for the front lines of a protest. Right. Condemning racism when you hear it and when you see it, you know, not letting your friends, you know, say explicit words, knowing the, you know, the heft, like the weight that comes with these words. Seeing just, you know, unacceptable behavior, condemning it when you see it and hear it is also important. And that's true allyship, you know.
Right. And so if I can just piggyback on that a little bit, you know, Kimberly, I think you were referring to like the injustices. Yeah, you know, as a person who, even though I refer to myself as not necessarily colorblind, but color unified, you know, and so because I'm color unified, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to stand up for injustice. You know, I just want to make that clear. I really just want to put that out there, make that clear. Yeah.
I think, Kim, what you said was perfect in the sense that When I hear colorblind, I do think it is something we shouldn't necessarily be trying to attain. I look at colorblind as I remember when President Obama was coming into office, we heard, are we in a post-racial society?
Right.
And I remember thinking we shouldn't be striving for a post-racial society. We should be striving for a post-racist society. Right? Post-racial, to be colorblind is to erase or eradicate the distinctive elements of somebody like Kimberly's identity, right? For something that is a myth. As you talked about Trinidad and Tobago, this melting pot you talk about,
yes.
Right? It reminds me of New Orleans, where New Orleans has always been a bowl of gumbo, a Cajun Creole, if you will, of Native American, of French, of Indian, of Black, of all African, of all these, and that's what makes New Orleans New Orleans. So if you take out all of those things, if we are truly colorblind, if we are post-racial, then Trinidad and Tobago isn't Trinidad and Tobago, right? Those things where you talked about religion and culture and the clothing, the food makes you who you are. And so I think when we say colorblind or post-racial, or I don't see that again renders you then invisible in certain aspects. So I don't agree with that idea that we should be striving for that. I think we should be striving for an anti-racist society. And the original question of, is it okay if me, let's say as somebody who's white, and I can sit here and say, well, I'm treating everybody that I know of as equal? No, that's not enough.
Right.
Because it's, you unfortunately, we don't have a world full of Vilmas that are out there saying it's just love, right? We have this hate.
But yeah, it's more than love, really.
Right? It's the policy that we have to get rid of.
Right.
And so me just being nice is not going to change policy. Right? It's not, you look at, there was an incident through all of this in which Bubba Wallace, the African-American NASCAR driver, who fought with the Confederate flag taken down, and then they found a noose
in his garage.
Right? And so what you saw was then drivers, mostly white drivers, walking with him, standing with him to say no to that. Well, that's great. That's the easy part. Okay, standing with Bubba Wallace is the easy part. Screaming from the mountaintop against the people that put the noose, that's the hard part, right? That's more important. That's what they need to do. So it is, when we look at the other piece of this is, as we look at the issues of the economy, COVID, racism, the reality is, of course, is all these things are connected. And so no matter how much someone says I'm treating everybody equal, the reality is racism has always been a byproduct of capitalism. And as long as the system that we have is perpetuated on a hierarchy of race and of gender and of class, then we're always going to fight these things until we can actually change the actual policies and that are in place. That's where the institutional racism comes in versus personal racism. So yeah, there's a lot more, and again, that can't fall on you. That has to fall on whites just as much, if not more.
Right, and so color blind. Well, for me, it's color unified. That's how I perceive it, and I call it unified because I'm using the word unity. That for us as human beings, as humanity, we are to relate to each other with the same common decency, regardless of your race or your color. Yes, there is more to be done. Yes, it's not enough to be nice to people. I've had to deal with racism. I've had issues. I've been excluded. Did that cause me to not show, that the common decency and respect for those people who excluded me? No. My answer is no. My makeup is that we're all human beings. Humanity, period, should be treated with a certain level of common decency, regardless of your color. We should not be denied. Yes, we should not be denied houses. We should not be denied jobs because we're qualified and someone else of a different race got the position. They didn't give it to us when both of us had the same equal qualifications. I agree with all those things. Those things are not going to change the love that I have for humanity. Why? Because I believe humanity is infected with the venom of hate, which is a worldwide ancient pandemic. And the only solution or the only medication for that hate is love. So anyhow we look at all of this colorblind, color unified, color brave, however we look at all of these various topics and issues, we're still going to have to come down to the root cause of why the world is so infested with hate. Hate is what breeds racism. How do we find that medication? Where do we find it? And how do we apply it? That's what I feel that we should be. Look, well, that's just my opinion. That's what I feel the world needs to be doing right now. And actually, I believe the world is actually doing that right now. After the death of George Floyd, now we have pretty much not just the United States, but people of every race. Why is that happening? It's happening because of the very sad thing that I just mentioned. The opposite to hate and racism and exclusion and victimizing and injustice, the opposite to all of that is love. Without the love, none of this stuff, none of that is going to go away.
Thank you all so very much for sharing this. I feel empowered, and as we learn and educate ourselves, don't let it go in and out the other end. You know, let's actually do something, because if we don't, we basically become complicit, like the professor said. So thank you. We've posted more resources on how to be active in the fight against racism. Please follow and look at that. And just thank you all so much for giving us your time and giving us your thoughts. And I really trust that this will continue to empower our MC community to do more. So thank you so much.